So really we're going to try and give you the tools so you can actually solve these things yourself and have more of an understanding, because I think it should be something where you can really solve a lot of these things on your own. You may need some support from guys like us occasionally, but in theory there are quite a lot of really quite basic concepts and principles. Once you know them, you can then just apply them to your own problems. But if you simplify things and actually work out that these things we can really make a big influence on are basically a system of pulleys, it makes actually understanding posture a lot easier. The things we're going to talk about mainly today are assessing these pulleys that you have in your body, and you have some that are much more powerful than others. So some of the pulleys we have in our bodies are really strong. The ones around your hips, for example, you know, your glutes, the muscles on the front of the hip joints, very, very powerful, strong muscles. They have to basically carry our weight. All the movements we perform are generally driven from the hips. Unless you have an actual spinal issue, most of the time it will be driven by the soft tissues around the shoulders and the hips that potentially are tightening up other parts of the body. A lot of what you'll learn today, and you'll learn to use the bands and sort of self-correct a lot of these things, is actually working out which of your pulleys is the worst or the most obvious. Okay? And already some of you might have an idea, you might not think so, but you'll generally go to those same places that are the worst when you try and stretch or have some treatment with us guys or something like that. You know, but it's understanding how you can correct that on your own. Yeah, so it's the most important system really we're looking at is just that musculoskeletal system. And you can integrate with these bands today the nervous system as well. Because there's a big difference between stretching and lengthening. We'll also look at what posture actually is, so how it can actually be dynamic, it can be static or standing posture, and it can also be seated posture. Okay, we'll look at how that can differ depending on what you're doing, because some people are more uncomfortable in certain positions than others. If you stand for long periods of time, you might be uncomfortable. If you sit for long periods of time, you might be uncomfortable, or vice versa. Okay, for example, myself, just to give you an idea, probably in the work that we do, very different than the norm. You know, we're used to standing up all day long, so we got comfortable standing. If I sit down, I'm pretty uncomfortable within a few minutes. I'm fidgeting around because my body's not used to doing it. So that's something we'll look at today as well. The sad facts, which we'll look at, is you'll probably, some of you, not all of you, I don't look at anyone, are very good at sitting down. You get very good at it. You actually train your body to become better at sitting down over time. You know, so if you have to do a job, which a lot of people do, where you are sitting, but then how do I make that the best of a bad situation? What things can I do to improve that? So we'll look at the difference between standing, sitting, dynamic postures. We'll also look at common problems. The two main things we're going to learn and understand today are the shoulder issues that cause poor posture and the hip issues that cause poor posture. Okay, the spine is kind of the result. If we look at it as that today, and it will be stiff, it will be tight, there may be other issues associated with the spine, but we'll look at the actual problems coming from the neck, the head, and the shoulder area, and also the hips and around the glutes. Okay, and because they're the prime moving areas in your body, they've got the greatest range of motion, or should have. They should be the ones you can improve on the quickest. Okay, so there'll be certain things we look to improve on quite quickly that you guys can try out and get working with. But the common problems we'll associate mainly will be the head position, the shoulder position, and the hip position, and how those things can actually affect how you stand and how you sit. Okay, so we'll give you some really good tools you can get started with, and those of you that got the little booklet or maybe looked for it already, you can start to see there's quite a few movements there. I did want to make them quite simple, where you need to make something good enough so it works, but you need it to be relatively simple so everyone can just do it. You know, so ideally, most of the stuff we want to try and do is standing up. Okay, so standing up is really what we want to be doing. So we'll try and do some standing up, but also I'll give you some seated options, lying options, kneeling options, all these different things depending on your body types and what suits you guys. Once you guys realise the worst parts of your body, you can start to correct them. Okay, and within a very short period of time, you'll be able to understand which are the worst parts of your body with regards to posture. Okay, which things are affected the most. And then right at the very end, we'll grab a little drink and we'll do a good bit of Q&A. There's 3 of us here today. We're going to go around you, hopefully individually. That's why it's quite a small group. And there's 3 of us, so hopefully we can actually give you some pointers while you're doing it, and you're not just left just to look at the manual and try it at home. Okay, so if you go away with good knowledge of what kind of things you can do to start helping your own posture.